In a world where magic and technology have never coexisted, Cadet Karen Michaels, humanity's first exchange student, is thrust into the heart of a prestigious magical academy. Clad in his advanced power armor, he must navigate a campus where spells fly, enchantments reign, and magical creatures roam. But when an ancient magical force destabilizes the balance of magic itself, Karen's cutting-edge technology becomes the only hope for solving the mystery. As magic falters and shadows of an ancient cult rise, Karen and his unlikely allies must combine science and sorcery to face an enemy unlike anything either world has ever seen. Will humanity's ingenuity be enough to save them, or will the power of magic prove too great to overcome? The dropped ship hummed as it descended into the Valley of Ural, carrying Cadet Karen Michaels to Arcana Celestials, the most prestigious magical academy on the planet. From the viewport, Karen could see the sprawling campus stretching out beneath him. Tall spires pierced the sky, glowing runes adorned the buildings, and students in flowing robes wandered through courtyards, casting spells in midair. The entire campus seemed like something out of a fantasy novel. However, for Karen, this was no fantasy. It was a mission. As Earth's first exchange student, he wasn't here to learn magic, but to represent humanity and its technological prowess in a world dominated by mystical forces. As the ship touched down, the ramp lowered, and Karen stepped off, feeling the weight of 1,000 curious eyes on him. His Mark V Vanguard power armor gleamed under the sun, a striking contrast to the natural, ethereal surroundings. The armor's sleek metallic surface shimmered, etched with kinetic dampeners and HUD cameras that gave it both a high-tech look and a slightly intimidating presence. On his chest plate was the blue and gold insignia of Earth's Intergalactic Alliance, signaling that he was not just a student, but a representative of humanity. His armor, designed for battle and defense, made him appear out of place in the peaceful, magical setting of Arcana Celestials, drawing intrigued stares from the students. Among those waiting for him was the headmistress of the academy, Kendra Vera, a tall and poised elf with lavender eyes. She studied him carefully, her gaze narrowing slightly as she took in his imposing form. Despite her calm and regal demeanor, Karen could sense her wariness as she extended a welcoming hand. Her voice was sharp but melodic as she greeted him, acknowledging that he was unlike any student the academy had ever seen. Karen responded with a polite but confident tone, stating that he was there to learn, just like everyone else, even though his background was worlds apart from the academy's magical curriculum. The skepticism from the magical community was palpable, but Karen stood tall, prepared for the challenges ahead. Nearby, a group of students murmured among themselves, and one of them, a broad-shouldered boy holding a staff, made a snide remark. He questioned whether Karen had any magic in his world, clearly dismissing Earth's technological advancements as mere trivialities. Karen, unfazed, turned to face the boy. His armor servo hissed as he adjusted his stance, and with a quiet confidence, he explained that he came from a world where there was no magic, just science. He challenged the boy to test it, an invitation to compare magic to Earth's technology. The students fell silent, clearly unsure how to respond, but Karen's words, combined with the silent authority his armor exuded, set the tone for his stay. The boy, later identified as Rias Whiff Flame, a skilled practitioner of elemental magic, scoffed at the challenge, though Karen could tell that his interest had been piqued. Despite their differences, Karen knew that the true test would come not from their rivalry, but from how they could learn from each other in this world of magic. As the days went on, Karen found himself enrolled in Applied Evocation, a class focused on channeling elemental forces, where students learned to summon and control fire. This class was a crucial part of the Academy's curriculum, as it demonstrated the raw power of magic that could be harnessed by the students. While his classmates effortlessly summoned flames, Karen's challenge was far more complex. He couldn't perform magic. His world had no such thing. Instead, he had to explain his reliance on technology, which, while foreign to most, was the basis of his existence. The skeptical professor, Garrick Stoneforge, an elderly dwarf known for his no-nonsense attitude, was quick to challenge Karen's assertions. He doubted that any technology could replicate magic, especially not in a setting like this one where magic reigned supreme. Despite the professor's skepticism, Karen knew his tech could do the job. With a smirk beneath his helmet, he raised his arm to demonstrate. The gauntlet of his armor opened to reveal a plasma emitter. With a simple flick of his wrist, he unleashed a concentrated bolt of superheated plasma. The resulting explosion obliterated the target dummy across the room, sending a wave of shock through the class. The room fell into stunned silence, and for a moment, it seemed as if Karen had won their respect. However, Rias, still dismissive of Earth's technology, scoffed and called it a trick, declaring that it wasn't real fire, just a technological illusion. Karen, without missing a beat, shrugged and calmly remarked that it was, in fact, a trick that worked, leaving Rias and the rest of the class with more questions than answers. Though his demonstration had silenced the skeptics, Karen still had much to learn about magic. He couldn't replicate it, but as the days passed, he began to grasp the fundamentals of magical theory, trying to understand the forces that shaped the world around him. His knowledge of science, however, gave him a unique perspective that some of his classmates came to appreciate. He began to see how magic and technology could complement each other. His armor, built for protection and enhanced by cutting-edge technology, became a subject of interest for many of his peers, who saw it not as a replacement for magic, but as a tool that could augment their abilities. In turn, Karen came to see the potential of magic in ways that were previously unimaginable for him. This exchange of ideas, though tentative at first, marked the beginning of a deeper understanding between science and magic. One day, when a rogue spell malfunctioned in the Academy's alchemy lab, it was Karen's armor that saved the day. A volatile magical reaction had caused an explosion, but Karen's quick reflexes and the adaptive shields on his armor absorbed the blast, protecting the students nearby. This act of bravery earned him a measure of respect from his classmates, even if they were still unsure about the full extent of his abilities. And when Rias, ever the challenger, dared to duel him in a magical contest, Karen used his suit's advanced tactical AI and shield systems to predict and counter Rias' fiery spells. While Karen couldn't directly wield magic, his understanding of technology and combat strategy made him a formidable opponent, leading his classmates to realize that there was value in working alongside his technology rather than trying to defeat it. This incident was just one of many where Karen's technology proved invaluable in ways that magic couldn't, cementing his place as an important figure within the Academy. As time passed, Karen began to forge unlikely alliances, one of the most important being with Zara, a shy half-elf with an exceptional talent for enchantment. Zara's quiet nature initially made her seem unassuming, but she quickly showed a fascination with Karen's advanced technology, especially his power armor. She was eager to understand how it worked and began asking him questions about its design, functionality, and the underlying principles behind the technology. Karen, who had grown used to his armor, being more of a tool than an object of study, found himself explaining it in more detail than he ever had before. Zara's curiosity was not just intellectual. She was genuinely interested in the potential of combining magic with technology. This mutual interest sparked a bond between the two, and they began collaborating on experiments that would later prove to be groundbreaking. Zara's first experiment was with the armor's power core. While Karen's suit was designed to run on energy from the fusion reactor within it, Zara suggested an experiment to incorporate mana, the magical energy that permeated the Academy's world, into the system. With her knowledge of enchantments, Zara carefully infused the power core with a mana conversion rune, allowing it to harness and store ambient magical energy. At first, Karen was skeptical. Combining magic with something as advanced as his armor's power core seemed like a risky idea. But to his surprise, the experiment worked. Not only did it allow the suit to recharge from the magical energy around it, but it also enhanced the suit's efficiency. This breakthrough astounded both Karen and Zara, who realized they had just taken the first step toward creating a fusion of magic and technology unlike anything either side had seen before. Word of their success spread quickly through the Academy, and Karen's suit became a point of fascination for many of the students. What had once been seen as a cold, impersonal piece of technology was now regarded as something far more significant. As Zara continued to enhance the armor with enchantments, they experimented with various combinations of magic and technology, working together to push the limits of what was possible. Zara's enchantments allowed Karen's armor to interact with magical energy in new and unforeseen ways. At the same time, Karen's technological expertise provided a grounding that prevented the magical enhancements from overwhelming the suit systems. Together, they created a perfect synergy, one that not only showed the potential of collaboration between magic and technology, but also demonstrated their individual strengths in a way that was previously unimaginable. Despite the success of their partnership, not everyone in the academy was convinced. Rias, the fiery and often abrasive student, remained a constant source of tension. While he grudgingly admitted that Karen's technology had its uses, he was still fiercely loyal to his magical roots. He often made sarcastic remarks about the idea of magic and technology working together, dismissing their experiments as mere curiosities. But even Rias couldn't ignore the results. The growing respect Karen had earned from his classmates, combined with the potential of the technology and magic fusion, began to shift his perspective. Slowly, he started to recognize that the blending of the two realms could be more than just theoretical. It could change the way magic was used forever. This growing tension between the two sides of the academy created a dynamic atmosphere of both rivalry and cooperation, with Karen and Zara leading the charge to prove that magic and technology didn't have to be opposing forces. As the semester progressed, the students at Arcana Celestials were tasked with facing a significant challenge, one that would test both their magical prowess and their ability to work as a team. The final exam was not a typical classroom test or a competition of spells. Instead, it was a simulated battle against a summoned Hydra, an enormous multi-headed creature that was to be fought in the Academy's enchanted arena. Each student was expected to apply everything they had learned throughout the term, combining their magic with strategy and teamwork. For Karen, however, this would be a different kind of test. Unlike his peers who relied on their magical abilities, he would need to rely entirely on his technology and the enhancements Zara had made to his suit. Despite the challenges, Karen was confident that his power armor and tactical AI would help him protect the team and contribute to their victory. The battle began with an intense and chaotic clash. Karen's power armor immediately became the focal point of the team's strategy. Drawing the Hydra's attention with his plasma cannon, Karen acted as a distraction, taking the brunt of the beast's attacks. His adaptive shields absorbed the impact of the Hydra's vicious strikes, and the armor's advanced sensors helped him track the movements of the creature's many heads. Meanwhile, his classmates worked together to try and defeat the Hydra. Rias, with his fire magic, focused on burning the creature's limbs and trying to limit its mobility, while Zara used her enchantments to bolster the team's defenses and to enhance their attacks. It was a test of their abilities to combine their skills in a high-pressure environment, and despite the tension and the different approaches, they learned to coordinate as a team. As the battle raged on, it became clear that this was no ordinary creature. The Hydra's heads regrew faster than anticipated, and the damage from the team's efforts seemed to have little effect. Additionally, the venom from the Hydra's bite began to corrode even Karen's advanced armor, a complication that forced him to adapt quickly. Despite these setbacks, Karen's tactical overlays helped the team maintain a semblance of order. His HUD provided real-time data on the Hydra's weaknesses and the team's status, helping them plan their next moves. The longer the battle went on, the more it seemed like they were fighting an unwinnable battle. The Hydra seemed almost invincible, and the team was growing exhausted. Yet Karen remained resolute, determined not to let the team fail. In the final moments of the battle, Zara's enchanted power core became the key to their victory. She had managed to recharge Karen's suit with ambient magical energy during the battle, and this gave him the boost he needed for one last push. With the team's combined efforts, Karen launched a final, devastating attack, using all of his suit's energy reserves to fire a concentrated plasma blast at the Hydra's heart. The blast was powerful enough to reduce the creature to ash, and the battle ended with the team standing victorious. The moment was bittersweet, as the battle had been long and exhausting, But the team's unity and cooperation had proven that even in a world filled with magic, human technology could hold its ground and even outshine it in some ways. The team's success marked a pivotal moment, demonstrating that magic and technology together were far more powerful than either could be alone. At the conclusion of the term, Karen stood on the academy steps, looking out over the valley, reflecting on everything he had experienced. His time at Arcana Celestials had been filled with challenges, both personal and academic, and he had proven himself capable in a world dominated by magic. He had shown that humanity's technological advancements were not just equal to, but in some cases surpassed magical abilities. Karen had not just demonstrated the strength of his Mark V Vanguard power armor. He had become an example of how science and technology could complement magic rather than compete with it. This realization had opened new doors for understanding and cooperation between Earth and the magical realms. Throughout his journey, Karen had developed a unique bond with his classmates, particularly with Zara, the shy half-elf who had once been skeptical of technology. They had worked together to combine magic and science in ways that no one had thought possible. Zara's enchanted mana conversion rune, which allowed Karen's armor to recharge from ambient magical energy, was a major breakthrough that astonished even the faculty. Together, they had proven that magic and technology weren't fundamentally at odds, but could work in harmony to create something far more powerful. Their collaboration had not only contributed to the success of the Hydra battle, but had also laid the foundation for future innovations. As Karen prepared to leave, Headmistress Vera approached him with a grave expression. She acknowledged Karen's success, but the words she spoke hinted at deeper truths. "You've shown us much, Cadet Michaels," she said, "perhaps more than we expected." Her words were a testament to how much the Academy had learned from Karen's presence. It wasn't just about showcasing the power of Earth's technology. It was about forging new paths of mutual respect and understanding between two very different worlds. Karen's experience had not only been educational for him, but for the entire Academy, helping them see that collaboration could overcome the limitations of both magic and technology. As Karen boarded the dropship and prepared to return to Earth, he felt a sense of pride in what had been accomplished. Humanity had proven that they were capable of more than just surviving in a world of magic. They had demonstrated that science and technology could be just as vital, if not more so, than traditional magic. But as the dropship lifted off and the Academy became smaller on the horizon, Karen knew this was just the beginning. There were still many more challenges to come, and the true test would lie in how Earth and the magical realms continued to evolve their partnership. Magic and technology had been brought together, and that combination would not only change the future of Earth, but also the entire universe. After Karen's return to Earth, things took an unexpected turn when he was summoned to the Alliance's Central Command for a debriefing. Initially, he thought his mission would be winding down, but instead, he was given a new, urgent assignment. The reports from the magical realms were troubling. Unusual phenomena were occurring across various worlds, with magic seemingly failing in ways no one could explain. Enchantments were unraveling, ancient artifacts were losing their power, and spells were backfiring. This caused widespread panic among the magical communities, and the Alliance believed that Earth's technology might be the key to solving the mystery. Karen was tasked with returning to Arcana Celestials, this time to assist in investigating these strange disturbances. When Karen landed back at the Academy, things were different. The students, now more familiar with him and his power armor, greeted him with a mix of respect and wariness. Zara, in particular, was waiting for him and seemed excited to show him the new runes she had infused into her robes, inspired by Earth's stabilization patterns. She explained that these runes were an effort to protect against the magical disruptions that had been plaguing the Academy. As Karen scanned the surroundings with his helmet's HUD, he noticed faint, erratic energy signatures that felt like static in the air. The very fabric of magic was being affected. Spells were no longer reliable, and even enchantments that had worked flawlessly before were beginning to fail. This confirmed the reports he had received, and it was clear that something bigger was at play. To investigate further, Karen and Zara began setting up a network of sensors across the Academy's grounds, using both magical and technological means to analyze the disruptions. As they gathered more data, they uncovered an alarming pattern. There was a source of anti-magic energy coming from deep within the Whispering Woods, a forbidden and dangerous area on the Academy's grounds. The magical community had always kept away from the woods, as it was teeming with dangerous creatures and old, powerful wards. Despite the risks, Headmistress Vera reluctantly agreed to send a small team into the woods to investigate. Karen, Zara, and a few students, including Rias, a highly ranked student specializing in elemental magic, were selected for the expedition. With his power armor providing protection and Zara's magic keeping them safe, they ventured into the woods, knowing that the answers they were searching for might be hidden deep within. As they ventured deeper into the forest, things only got stranger. The more they relied on magic for protection and guidance, the less effective it became. Karen's armor, however, remained untouched by the magical disruptions, making it the group's main lifeline. As they neared the source of the disturbances, they discovered an ancient, ruined structure hidden beneath vines and trees. It was here that they encountered a massive crystal, which seemed to be at the center of the disruption. The crystal pulsed erratically with chaotic energy, causing the surrounding magic to destabilize. Zara, with her extensive knowledge of magical artifacts, identified the crystal as a mana core, an ancient power source that had been thought to be just a legend. However, this one was destabilized and dangerous, and they quickly realized that this was the cause of the disruptions. The team had to find a way to stabilize it before it caused even greater damage. After stabilizing the mana core in the Whispering Woods, Karen and Zara returned to Arcana Celestials, but their work was far from over. The restoration of magic had brought temporary relief to the Academy, and the students and staff celebrated their success. Yet, in the back of their minds, a nagging question remained. What had caused the mana core to destabilize in the first place? This wasn't a random incident. There had been deliberate interference with the magical balance, and Karen suspected that the disturbances were far more than a natural occurrence. Headmistress Vera, in a rare moment of grave seriousness, confirmed his fears, explaining that someone or something had orchestrated this attack, and it was only the beginning of a much larger, more dangerous plot. Karen's suspicions about a deliberate sabotage grew stronger when he and Zara discovered strange magical signatures in the data from the mana core. As Zara carefully examined the energy patterns, she identified an unusual and foreign magic that didn't match any of the known schools of magic. The signature seemed almost synthetic, suggesting that the source of the disturbance wasn't traditional magic at all, but something more advanced. Karen quickly deduced that this wasn't an accident. It was the work of someone who knew exactly what they were doing, combining magic and technology in ways that were both sophisticated and dangerous. The nature of the attack, and the involvement of something like the mana core, led him to believe that this was the work of an enemy who had a deep understanding of both the magical and technological realms. As the investigation continued, Rias, the student who had initially been skeptical of Karen's tech, came into play. He eventually joined the team and helped unravel a crucial lead: his family's ancient magical archives. Rias had access to forbidden knowledge that could potentially shed light on the growing mystery. At first, he was reluctant to delve into his family's secrets, but after much prodding, he uncovered an unsettling connection to an ancient cult known as the Nelber. The Nelber were exiled centuries ago for engaging in dangerous experiments that combined magic with anti-magic practices, experiments that had nearly destroyed the fabric of reality itself. According to Rias's findings, the Nelber hadn't disappeared as everyone had assumed. They had gone underground, biding their time and preparing for their return. With the discovery of the Nelber's involvement, Karen, Zara, and Rias now had a clear sense of the stakes they were facing. The Nelber weren't just a threat to the magical community. They were a threat to all realms, and they had somehow resurfaced, bringing with them a new form of magic that was far more dangerous than anyone had expected. As the team continued to piece together the clues, it became evident that the Nelber had carefully orchestrated the magical disruptions across the realms. testing their ability to manipulate both magic and technology. They were preparing for something much larger, something that would challenge the very balance of magic and science itself. The peaceful atmosphere at Arcana Celestials quickly dissolved when the Nelber made their move. One evening, as the team continued to investigate the growing threats surrounding the Academy, shadowy figures attacked. These figures, armed with weapons infused with anti-magic energy, descended upon the Academy. The magical wards that had previously protected the school flickered and failed in the presence of these attackers, rendering many spells useless. Karen, who had grown accustomed to relying on his armor's technology, found himself in an unprecedented situation where even his high-tech suit struggled to hold up against the Nelber's advanced anti-magic weaponry. It became clear that these weren't ordinary attackers. They were equipped with a dangerous combination of magic and technology far beyond what anyone had anticipated. Despite the overwhelming odds, Karen and Zara sprang into action. Zara's magic, which had previously been instrumental in stabilizing magical systems, now became vital for defense. She used her enchanted staff to amplify Karen's plasma bolts, providing a much-needed counter to the Nelber's forces. Together, they formed a seamless partnership, blending their skills in technology and magic. While Karen used his power armor to absorb the brunt of the attack, Zara's enchantments allowed them to stay one step ahead. Their combined efforts pushed back the Nelber forces, but it was clear that this was just the beginning of a much larger conflict. The Nelber weren't just here to raid the Academy. They had a specific goal in mind, and that goal seemed to be tied to the strange portal that had appeared in the courtyard. The courtyard itself quickly turned into a battleground as more Nelber operatives poured in, attempting to protect a massive shimmering portal. This portal, unlike anything Karen had seen before, was a twisted fusion of magic and technology, its edges crackling with unstable energy. It was clear that the Nelber were using the portal as a means of bringing in more reinforcements, and it was likely their primary method of entry into the Academy. Karen, Zara, and the others knew that if they didn't act quickly, the portal would become the gateway to an even greater assault. In the chaos, Zara and Karen exchanged brief but urgent glances, their minds already working in tandem. The only way to stop the Nelber's invasion was to shut down the portal. But it wasn't going to be easy. The portal's technology was unlike anything they had encountered, and it would take everything they had to prevent the Nelber from gaining the upper hand. As they approached the portal, Karen quickly assessed its weak points, identifying the central nexus, a core that was dangerously unstable. The portal wasn't just a way to transport soldiers. It was also a weapon, one capable of wreaking unimaginable destruction if it were allowed to detonate. Karen knew that if the Nexus exploded, it would take the entire Academy with it, and possibly much more. With time running out, he and Zara worked in sync to formulate a plan. While the others held off the Nelber forces, Karen reconfigured his suit systems to interface with the portal's core, attempting to redirect its energy flow. But just as he made his move, the Nelber leader appeared, a towering figure cloaked in both magical and anti-magic energy. The leader issued a chilling ultimatum, demanding that Karen step aside or face annihilation. Karen, undeterred and confident in his team's abilities, refused. He wasn't going to let the Nelber succeed, no matter what it took. The Nelber leader's appearance marked a pivotal moment in the battle. As the cloaked figure emerged, an overwhelming wave of anti-magic energy surged from them, destabilizing the very foundation of the Academy's magical defenses. Zara and Rias immediately reacted, combining their powers to shield Karen from the brunt of the leader's destructive force. The anti-magic wave was powerful, but with Zara amplifying Rias's fire magic, they managed to create a protective barrier just long enough for Karen to continue his critical work. It was a tense moment as every second counted. Karen's armor displayed warnings and system overloads, but he remained focused on his task, stabilizing the portal before it could be used as a weapon. Karen's efforts to interface with the portal's nexus intensified as the Nelber leader's threat loomed large. The portal was a hybrid of magic and technology, its central core an unstable fusion of both. With the Nelber leader watching, Karen quickly realized the danger wasn't just a portal, It was a weapon that could detonate and destroy the Academy, or even more. His HUD displayed the Nexus's weak points, and with precision, he began redirecting its energy. It was a delicate process. One wrong move, and everything would be lost. As he worked, the Nelber leader continued to taunt him, their voice booming with menace, warning him of the consequences if he continued to interfere. But Karen's resolve remained unwavering. He knew the only way to save the Academy and everyone within it was to shut down the portal and neutralize the threat. The battle around the portal intensified as Karen and his team pushed forward. Despite the Nelber leader's powerful anti-magic energy, Zura, Rias, and the others fought valiantly to protect Karen, fending off the remaining Nelber operatives. Their magic and technology were a perfect complement, but it was clear that Karen was the key to stopping the portal. As Karen's hands moved with precision, reconfiguring his suit's core to synchronize with the portal's unstable energy, he could feel the pressure mounting. Every passing moment brought them closer to either victory or disaster. His helmet displayed a countdown, and with the Nelber leader's threats echoing in his mind, Karen pushed himself further. The combination of his armor's technological prowess and the team's magical abilities was their only hope. Finally, as the Nelber leader unleashed another wave of anti-magic energy, Karen finished his work. The moment was a blur of light and tension as his suit's core synchronized with the portal's energy signature. The portal began to destabilize, collapsing in on itself. The Nelber leader screamed in frustration as their carefully constructed gateway was torn apart. Before the leader could react, the entire structure of the portal imploded, sending a shockwave through the courtyard. The Nelber forces were sucked back through the collapsing portal, leaving behind nothing but scorched earth and a faint hum of residual energy. The immediate danger had passed, but the destruction caused by the Nelber's attack left its mark. The battle was over, but the threat was far from finished. The aftermath of the Nelber attack left the Academy reeling, though the immediate threat was over. Despite the destruction, Arcana Celestials had withstood the assault, thanks to the combined efforts of Karen, Zara, and the others. However, the Academy's leadership knew that this victory was only temporary. Headmistress Vera, despite her usual stern demeanor, acknowledged the gravity of the situation. She expressed her gratitude to Karen and the team, but made it clear that the Nelber threat was far from eliminated. Their underground activities and advanced hybrid tech magic weapons suggested that they had been preparing for something much larger, and it was only a matter of time before they would strike again. Karen, though proud of their success, couldn't shake the feeling that there were more questions than answers. The Nelber leader's parting words echoed in his mind, and he knew that the hybrid technology they had encountered wasn't something that had simply been developed overnight. Someone with deep knowledge of both magic and technology had engineered the attack with careful precision. Karen realized that understanding the full scope of the Nelber's capabilities and motives was crucial for humanity's future interactions with the magical realms. The weaponized portal, which they had barely managed to destroy, had been designed to destabilize the Academy, and perhaps something much larger. In the days following the attack, Karen and Zara resumed their efforts to investigate the Nelber's origins and intentions. Together, they began analyzing every fragment of data they had gathered, focusing on the traces of synthetic magic they had uncovered. While the Academy began to rebuild, the team worked quietly in the background, piecing together the clues that would hopefully lead them to the heart of the Nelber's operations. Zara's knowledge of ancient magical texts and Karen's technological expertise made them a formidable team. They knew that the answers they sought could be the key to preventing a future catastrophe. The threat was more complex than just rogue magical factions. The Nelber were a calculated force that would stop at nothing to achieve their goals. As the Academy's reconstruction efforts continued, Karen couldn't help but feel a deep sense of purpose. The battle with the Nelber had cemented his belief that humanity's alliance with magic and technology was not just a necessity, but a powerful force in its own right. Magic and science, when combined, had proven to be unstoppable, and he knew that this was only the beginning. Humanity's role in the broader galactic landscape was still unfolding, and the challenges ahead would test their resolve. Karen's experiences at Arcana Celestials had transformed him, not just as a soldier, but as a key player in a much larger game. With his teammates by his side, he was ready for whatever came next, knowing that their unity of magic and tech would be humanity's greatest strength.